Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Fabula Ultima TTJRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop role-playing game that seeks to bring the Japanese video game RPG experience to your table, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about clocks, also called timers, counters, trackers, or countdowns. Clocks are a useful tool for tracking an evolving situation, an approaching danger, or the character's progress with a certain task. Clocks are designed to handle complex activities that cannot be resolved with a single check, and are a great tool for game masters to manage pacing within a scene. A clock is a circle split into a number of sections, each of them representing a step towards an objective being completed or an event taking place. Maybe when the group infiltrates a guarded area and must not alert the surveillance, failed checks might feel a high alert clock. Or perhaps when the heroes realize that they can't defeat a colossal foe in usual combat, they might choose to adopt a different tactic. So they carry out a number of tasks, and according to their successes, the clock is filled. Once the clock is full, the enemy is defeated. Or maybe when a powerful sorcerer performs a world-altering ritual, a clock named Arcane Apocalypse can be used to represent how much time is left to stop him. A clock normally features 4 to 12 sections, depending on its complexity. Clocks are generally created and managed by the game master, but should be visible to everyone. This makes for tense and adrenaline-inducing play. They should also be tied to a specific obstacle, goal, or danger, but not to a specific method or approach. This will allow characters to interact with them in different ways. Let's talk about advancing a clock. In general, clocks advance through checks. Fill one section for a successful check. Fill an additional section if the result of the check surpassed the difficulty level, or the opponent's result in case of an opposed check, by 3 or more. Or 2 additional sections if it was by 6 or more. If the check was a critical success, the corresponding opportunity may be spent to fill 2 additional sections. Vice versa, clocks that represent a threat gradually fill as characters fail checks, especially if they fail them by a wide margin. Fill one section for a failed check. Fill an additional section if the result of the check is lower than the difficulty level, or the opponent's result in case of an opposed check by 3 or more, or 2 additional sections if it was by 6 or more, so it's quite similar to the other case. If the check was a fumble, the corresponding opportunity may be spent to fill 2 additional sections. Clocks should always interact with what happens in the story. The game master should use situational modifiers and adjust the difficulty level to represent advantages or disadvantages derived from the player's choices and the events that are taking place in the scene. When it comes to a threshold for failure, if you use a clock to represent a complex series of operations to achieve a goal, you must also establish when that goal will be irredeemably lost. Does it take a single failed check, or is there a parallel failure clock that fills whenever a character rolls poorly? The game master determines this on a case-by-case basis, but must make sure to inform the players as they approach the challenge. Characters can also take action to slow a clock's advance and erase some of the filled sections, eventually bringing it back to 0. The method is identical to that of filling a clock. When a clock reaches 0, the game master may have the threat removed, or simply keep it lurking in the shadows. If the game master feels like a certain event should fill or erase sections of a clock, even if that event is not tied to a check, they are free to fill or erase 1 section or 2 sections for a major event. On the other end of that, some of the character's choices might automatically fill a clock or make it completely useless. For instance, smashing the crystal of life to pieces will make the channel the power of the crystal clock irrelevant. The game master is responsible for discarding clocks that no longer matter within the story, provided this doesn't strip the player characters of the ability to shape the story. Clocks can be used to handle all sorts of conflict scenes, such as chases, battles, audiences, and more. These scenes will see characters working against each other to achieve goals, and clocks are an excellent way to keep track of everyone's progress. The Game Master should also employ clocks to signal that the heroes have a limited amount of time to stop an antagonist's plan, obtain a specific item, or learn information. In short, clocks should be used to convey pressure and keep the tension high. Seeing how much time is left, the heroes will be able to manage their resources appropriately and should feel like every action is impactful. Clocks like this are time trackers and normally can't be directly influenced through checks. They should be the focus of one or more sessions. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about bonds. I really like using clocks in those situations. When it comes to more simulationist role-playing games, of course I prefer a more tangible and less abstract mechanic. But in the case of games such as Fabula Ultima, I think clocks are very versatile, very flexible, for the player characters and the game master to focus on dramatic descriptions, while letting their accumulated successes drive the resolution of the action as the clock feels. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.